In the 1980s, during the time of Neo-Expressionism, there were a group of female artists known as the Guerrilla Girls. They were anonymous feminist artists that were trying to bring more light to female artists of different races who would like to show their artwork in spaces alongside males who were also white. So, looking at these humorous but direct facts that they used in their letters and in their protests or just in their advertising, you can see that there existed suppression of minorities and women in the art world. The Guerrilla Girls used their gorilla suits to remain anonymous. They were seen as not as smart as men, and they wrote letters to art collectors in hopes of bringing more femininity to art museums or places showing artworks. The male artists were not very supportive of the female artists. It says that these men allow their work to be shown in galleries that no more than 10% women artists. That show no more than 10% women artists or none at all. So these Guerrilla Girls, were alone in their fight for race and gender equality in the art world. This humorous but direct quote will show that as you're looking at an artwork by a white male, you're not seeing the full picture or the full vision because there are different opinions of other people who may not bring the same things to the art world as the white men do. And around this time, art was considered more fashionable when it was made by men who were white because it brought more profit to art collectors and to companies and corporations that sponsored these artworks. So here, a journalist for the New York Times thinks that things are getting better for female artists. However, the Guerrilla Girls show in their graph that the percentage is decreasing of New York Times reviews that were discussing female artists and their artwork. In the 1980s, female artwork was considered less fashionable, less prestigious, so these foundations only sponsored white men. And the whole point of the Guerrilla Girls was to end this racism and this sexism in the art world. They believed that they had the same amount of prestige and the same amount of, fashion in their artwork, and they could also profit. But instead, they said that as female artists, you wouldn't actually make enough profit until you're about 80 years old or even older. So it's not just in America that these conditions exist. It is also in Europe, and it's even worse. So they may not have people like the Guerrilla Girls to bring about this change and kind of help society to embrace female artwork as well. And females in what we consider as more male-dominant jobs are successful in those fields, but not in artwork. They're not allowed to express themselves in art, but they can be welders and truck drivers, mail carriers, and even bus drivers, but they aren't allowed to show their artwork in a museum or at a collection. With the help of the Civil Rights Act, discrimination is nearing the end. So, museums will have to display female artwork and artwork of people of different genders. So the Guerrilla Girls encourage people to reach out and end the suppression of art, of minority art, in the late 80s and early 90s. The Guerrilla Girls want everyone to be able to profit because of their artwork. So when, after the Civil Rights Restoration Act, when racism and sexism are no longer fashionable, How worthy will your art actually be? Will the white male art, decrease in value because females are now allowed to show their art in collections and in museums? Will that bring about more of a challenge than a positive change? So they hoped to also increase the art market with their artwork and their feminist movement of bringing awareness and support for female artists. The Guerrilla Girls used black and white wording to be clear about the changes they wanted to make. In this colorless, undecorated format, they were taken more seriously, and it made their statements and beliefs more powerful. They are stating facts, not looking to make catchy slogans.